diabetes is, or type 2. Congestive heart failure. I'll read this off to you. Congestive heart failure occurs 7.9 times more in those with diabetes than it does in those without. The same with heart attacks. 9.8% times more in those with diabetes versus those without, 1.8% of the time. Coronary heart disease, strokes. This is the one I want to focus in on here, because at this particular point, chronic kidney disease, we're talking about potential for dialysis. And that wreaks serious havoc on your body. This occurs more, well, 27.8% times more in those with diabetes versus 6.1% in those without. Do any of you know someone on dialysis? See the connection? Foot problems, eye disease, and that's a high number too. 18.9% versus 2.5% in those without. Those are some high numbers. Next, please. But I also want you to see the cost of this. This is why our medical system is struggling as it is. These diseases are costing the system heart attacks. And this is per year per person. The cost is $14,150 a year for one person per year. Chronic kidney disease, $9,000. Congestive heart failure, $8,000. Strokes, $8,000. Coronary heart disease, $6,000. Foot problems, $4,000. Eye damage, $1,700. But I want you to look at this particular piece here. People with diabetes complications pay nearly $1,600 out of their own pockets for costs that are not reimbursed by insurance, such as co-payments and deductibles. But you can add into that as well medications. And that number can go up, I don't know how much more. Next one. This is something I want you to consider. You've heard the saying, we've all heard the saying, we are what we eat. Next. So are our children. And I gave you the statistics on our kids. One thing I failed to mention to you, that kids now are being also diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. They used to call that adult onset diabetes because it only would happen with people my age or maybe a little bit younger or older. But now, the latest statistics that I read was that each year some 150,000 to 200,000 children are now being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. This is just children, and they gave the age range, it was somewhere between, I think it was 6 to 10 years old. That's not talking about adolescents or teenagers. I suspect those numbers are going to be even higher. This I want you to see. Remember, we are what we eat. Now, some of you may not be pregnant with child right now. But this is literally what happens. Whatever we consume, if you are with child, that child receives that as well. But if you have children, most of the time, the adults sit down to eat at the table, that child sits down to eat as well. Many of you, if someone were trying to break into your house and get to your kids, they would have to go through you first. For gentlemen, if someone was trying to get to our wives, it's a given, they're going to have to get through us first. And for the wives even, if someone was trying to get to your husband or your kids, not without a fight. Why then do we allow these to destroy us? Or things like this? Because they wreak more havoc on people every year than the number of people who are murdered. They really do. Not just this, but there are other items that are similar. Folks, we have the power in our hands. God has given it to us to take better care of ourselves. As was mentioned last night, God does not want to place any of these diseases upon us that were placed upon the Egyptians. But you know what? He doesn't have to. If we're not careful, we will do it to ourselves. not intentionally, but be it intentionally or unintentionally, the results will still be the same. But given what we heard, there should be one more. We want to say so long to diabetes. And if we're going to do that, like I said, we're going to look at what we're eating now. And if we're not getting as much exercise as we used to, even if you can just start out with 5 to 10 minutes a day, don't look to just jump out there if you're not used to exercising, and walk that 5 to 10 minutes. If you feel like doing more, then do it. And it's even optimal if you can get out in the sunshine and walk. Because I want to share a tip with you. We're going to cover that later on, but some of you may want to start this tomorrow. A double benefit. Sunshine strikes the skin, converts the cholesterol below the skin to vitamin D. Studies have been shown that for those with, say, a cholesterol level of 220, you go out and you're in the sun for roughly 30 minutes, you come back in and measure your cholesterol, and it'll drop 10 points, from 230 down to 220. And it's free. In nature, what God has given us. How many of you believe that you can help somebody by sharing this information if they have diabetes, or if you have it yourself, that you can knock this thing out, get it out of your family